Hello Year 5, this is your remote learning English writing for week beginning the 28th of the 9th, 2020. And this week we're going to be converting a poem to a narrative. During our last lesson we planned our stories, so have a think about the planning mountain. There's a copy on the Year 5 website on the web page if you need to do another one. If you click on COVID-19 and then go down to home learning and click on the Year 5 on the right hand side, there'll be a copy of it in there. So today we're going to write the opening and the build-up of the story, which means introducing the main characters and describing the setting, and have a little think about what your opening sentence will be, how you're going to grasp it, how you're going to grab the attention of your readers. Remember to think about modal verbs and have a look at my example on the next 3 pages. Now you can copy my example, the model of it, so use the sort of same sentence structure, but I'm sure you can use much more expressive language. Don't forget to use dictionaries and thesauruses and make yours as exciting as it can be. The chili challenge is on the final page at the end of the week. If you want to have a look at that, and just make sure that you're hitting all your targets and that you're getting in as much as you possibly can. So for the opening of your story, you need to be thinking about the who, where, why, what and when. I've highlighted my modal verbs in green and I've opened my story with the woods at first sight looked peaceful. However, it was no place even the bravest soul would want to be. The moon cast its light onto the trees, giving them life as the branches rocked and creaked in the chilling breeze. The highwayman was no stranger to the forest. He could never feel fear. He rode his horse quickly through the bends in the road until he reached the inn. He was dressed head to toe in the darkest of black, his hat worn low so that you couldn't see his face. He quickly dismounted from his horse and dashed to the window. He had been here many times before. He knew it was risky, but his love for Bess and the desire to see her outweighed his fear of being caught and more than likely killed. They must be careful. He knocked on her window and they met briefly before he took off into the night, promising to return. The highwayman and Bass were so happy to see each other that they may have been careless and hadn't noticed Tim, the ostler, spying on them. Tim had loved Bess for a very long time and was prepared to do anything to stop the love affair between the highwayman and Bess. In a jealous rage, he ran to notify the soldiers of the highwayman's likely return to the inn to see Bess. They would surely warn the highwayman to stay away. So yesterday we did the build-up, the opening and the build-up of the story. So have a look at your plan, and we're going to be doing boxes 3 and 4 today, which is the problem, or if there's a resolution, or if it gets worse. So during this part of your story, I want you to describe the terrible turn of events. So I want you to talk about what happened to Bess, what happened to the highwayman, what happened to the landlord, and what you think happened to Tim the ostler. So just leave the story there at that part, and then we're going to be completing the story tomorrow. So this is the final part of your story. Does the story have a happily ever after? What have people learned? Have any of the characters changed? When you finish your story, have a read over it from the beginning and edit any parts that you feel could be improved. Have a look at the chili challenge on the next page. It's also on the Year 5 web page. Have you completed as many features from the checklist as you possibly can? Our value this half term is thankfulness. What does being thankful mean? If you're a thankful person, what things might you do to show this? Today, I'd like you to write your own poem about thankfulness. It can take any form it likes. Have a look online at the different styles of poems, and I've put some examples for you on the next page. So today is Friday and we're going to do a grammar lesson. So we're going to recognise and use commas as parentheses. The success criteria, you'll know what parenthesis means and how to use commas as parentheses. So we speak using asides every day. Think about your highwayman stories. For example, Bess, who was the landlord's daughter, ran to the window. You can use parentheses to punctuate these asides or the extra information. Parenthesis is the name for these asides or the extra information, and it's separated from the rest of the sentence. The sentence will still make sense without this information. For example, Miss Harris, who is awesome at kickball, teaches in 5H. Without the parenthesis, the sentence still works. Miss Harris teaches in 5H. Let's have a look at these sentences and see if you can put the parentheses as commas in the correct places. The burgers, which were vegetarian, were delicious. The dog, whose name was Ben, was gorgeous. The teacher paid a fortune, over £600, for a new computer. So where do you think the commas would be in these sentences? So the burgers, comma, which were vegetarian, comma, were delicious. So the burgers were delicious makes sense on its own. Which were vegetarian is the additional information, so that needs to go inside the commas. The dog, whose name was Ben, was gorgeous. So the dog was gorgeous still makes sense, and we've put commas to add the additional information, whose name was Ben. The teacher paid a fortune, over £600, for a new computer. So the teacher paid a fortune for a new computer still makes sense. The over £600 needs to go in commas and is the additional information. Have a look at the worksheet, commas per parenthesis, with today's date in the Year 5 web page, and it's under the COVID-19 Home Learning tabs. When you're finished, send it to the Y5 email to myself or Mr. Evans will mark them. Looking forward to having a look at your stories as well, so don't forget to email those over. And so take care from all the Year 5 team.